Do you ever think that you're not quite good enough to do something new? Or do you worry that taking a calculated risk might, just might, make you look inadequate, incompetent, or even something worse? Well, have I got a story for you today? Welcome to the Sha Sparks Show, where we talk to business and military leaders about what it means to invest in people, ignite your leadership voice, and be fired up about your life and business. This is season 11, year 6. Oh my gosh, I cannot even believe it. 6 years. I am your host, Shā Sparks. I am a certified fearless living coach, master practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming, mental and emotional release, hypnosis, and Reiki. I am also a fearless communicator who helps leaders break through self-doubt, fear, and that pesky negative inner voice. And I help turn it into unstoppable confidence and purpose. We take that fear and we transform it into fearless action that sparks leaders to lead with intention, resilience, and empowerment. I am the Chief Excitement Officer of Sparks of Fire International. Along with hosting this podcast, I also am a co-host of another show called UnderWired, and you can find out more about all of that on YouTube if you go to UnderWired or if you look up underwiredlive.com. This episode, let me just dive in. First of all, this whole notion of trying something new. I don't know about you, but I have been a practitioner of always trying something new. Oh, there's something bright and shiny over there. I should do that. And then it gets me into a world of trouble because I'm always, quote unquote, trying something new, the next best thing, rather than just sticking with one project. And I seem to have ADHD brain and it goes off track. Well, that's how I've been the last several years in my business is I focus on one thing and then something shifts, something changes. I get a little bright and shiny glimmer of hope out of the corner of my eye and I switch directions and head over there. Well, what I've learned in 11 seasons and 6 years of podcasting is that seasons change, right? Just like the seasons of life, things change in our lives. People change in our lives. Maybe our priorities change, things shift. And as an entrepreneur, I know one of the things that really shifted for me was how I wanted to proceed in my business. I really wasn't sure. I've been a coach for a long time. I've been podcasting for a long time. And yet I knew that something needed to shift, something needed to change. And I wasn't sure what that was. Some people might say it was burned out. I did. Some people say, oh, you just need a rest. I did. Some people might say, oh, your energy shifted. It did. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Have you ever been in that spot where you're thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do next? And I kept focusing on what is my next best step. I stopped saying to myself, I should do this, or I should do that, or I should be doing this. I need to be doing this right now for my business. I need to be doing that. And instead, I said, you know what? I'm going to choose something different. I'm going to choose to take a break since I do seasons anyway, since most of you have been loyal with me for the last 11 seasons, last 6 years, but you've also probably more than likely are loyal to a certain TV show that you watched over the years. And it has seasons, it ebbs and flows. One of my favorite shows that I've just recently fallen in love with is Yellowstone, and it took a 2-year hiatus. Now, thank goodness mine wasn't 2 years, but it happens, right? Seasons change. Things in our lives change. And sometimes we just need to shift. Sometimes changing our view changes our view. Why don't you just sit with that, marinate on that. changing your view will change your view. So I decided, I made the choice, instead of making up an excuse or coming up with a should, I said, you know what? I'm going to make a choice to take a break. And I'm going to change my view. And just like I talk to every leader, business leader, and military leader that comes on the show, I talk about how they've invested in themselves and how that overflows onto their family, life, and business. Well, I took some time and I invested in myself, and not just in myself, but in my personal relationships. And I helped someone remodel their house. Now, you might be saying, you, Shay, with all the fingernails and the glitter and the hair and all that. Yes, I know, me. Yes, I helped someone remodel their home. And I have to tell you, it has been so challenging and yet so rewarding and fun at the same time. I am a demo queen. You give me a hammer and a chisel or a crowbar, and I will go to town. I have the best time demoing. But one of the things that really just struck me most recently is I have a hammer in one hand, and I actually have a putty knife in the other hand, and I am chiseling off the caulk that is painted on to, and the paint that is painted on the baseboard of this room. And I am going at it. I could have taken a razor knife and just cut it and be done with it. And then I would still have to go in with the putty knife and the hammer to get the nails or the staples or whatever, or the glue. All those things were fastening that baseboard to the wall, because what we were doing was replacing the floor. So bear with me, because I've learned so much about how remodeling our home is like remolding our lives. So bear with me. So here I am. I have my hammer in one hand and I have my putty knife in the other hand, and I am clicking away, click, 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 click. And I am knocking loose the caulk and the paint from the wall and the baseboard. Now, I've noticed that a lot of times it doesn't get it completely off, that I have to go back and redo a spot. So I'm going to pause there. How many times have we been in the process of learning, in the process of growing, in the process of healing, and we think we're done with something? And guess what? No, we have to go back and do it again. We have to go back and repeat it. Yeah, well, that was very prominent in remodeling. I don't know if you've ever remodeled anything, but that was definitely a learning experience. And when I was doing that for probably the umpteenth time in this spot, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, how often have we have to take a step back and redo something in life? Maybe we need to take a step back and rehab a conversation, revisit a conversation, a redo, because we showed up in a way where we hurt another person. Or maybe even worse, we hurt ourselves. So think about that. What is it that you need to redo in your life? So here I am. I'm tearing out the baseboards because we're going to put down this new flooring, and I've got the hammer in one hand and the putty knife in the other, and I am going to town and I'm removing it. And as I'm removing this whole section of one wall, it has one long piece of baseboard. And so I finally get to a point where it is the momentum has gotten me so far that I can now just take hold of the baseboard and just rip it out, rip the entire piece out along an entire wall. Now, you might be saying, well, that's great for you. Now, how does this apply to our life? Because when we continue down that path of healing, growth, learning, we build up momentum. And sometimes it's no longer hard. Sometimes it's no longer about redoing or repeating something. Sometimes we build up that momentum so we can just grab hold and change it immediately, redo it, get it out of there and move on. And that's what I was able to do. So How crazy cool is that? That just removing what you would think would be a simple thing of removing baseboard from your walls in order to put in new flooring is so much like remolding our lives. Now, here's a third thing. Let's talk about the flooring. Now, this floor was so awful. It was so unstable. It had patchwork. I don't know if you've ever done flooring before or redid it, but it had patchwork of different types of plywood, different sizes of plywood that was in the room on the floor. It looked like a patchwork quilt. It was not supposed to be like that, but that's what the person before us done. Now think about this. I'm going to pause right there. Now think about this. How often do we meet new people or we're in a relationship with someone and they have patchwork that someone else has done for them? And we then get to tear off that patchwork and figure out and lay down new flooring, new foundations with them. Again, I hadn't been thinking about any of this when I was remodeling, but it was just coming to me and coming to me as I was doing the work. Because sometimes when you change your view, you change your view. So here I am noticing this patchwork quilt, if you will, of flooring and how different it is and the different shapes and how sometimes we have stuff that we carry with us that we don't even know. And what they had done is that they put down a sheet, one piece of flooring to cover it up. So think about that in ourselves. Like, how often do we have things that we just try to put over on us and cover it up? We put on a coat of armor and like, no, you're not going to see that wound. You're not going to see that hurt. You're not going to see that hole that's been in my heart. No, because I don't want you to see it. And I don't want you to step in it. I don't want you to step in the muck and the yuck of what's been there. Because guess what? That brings me to the next thing. When we uncovered that one piece of flooring, guess what? We did see holes that I'm surprised we never stepped in. And yet we step in them. How often are you with someone and having a conversation? And this could be at work, in your business, this could be at home. You're having a conversation and you are expressing yourself completely and fully and talking about what it is that you need to get the job done, that project done, that task done. And they are offended. You have stepped in some muck. You have stepped in a hole. And now you get an opportunity. You can choose to accept this opportunity. You can choose to learn how to change your view so you can change your view. And now you look at them from a perspective of, okay, how can I clean this yuck up? What do I need to say or do or to help them understand what my intention is? Now, that comes from a place of values. What are your core values? Remember how we talked about the floor? Well, think about this. Here we are looking at that patchwork of floor of plywood that has been laid down on this one sheet of flooring just laid over the top of it, hiding things. When really what we needed was a strong foundation in order to build the room on. Just like us, we need a strong foundation of what? What do we build things on in our personal lives and our professional lives? Our values. What is it that you value the most? I have learned during this season of remodeling and remolding my life on my priorities, my values, communication, family, love, connection, a feeling of belonging, understanding, integrity. Those are my values. Fun, that's a value. Now, you might be saying, yeah, Shay, that sounds great, but how can remodeling your house be fun? Well, let me just tell you, if you are in a bad mood and you rip something out, there is something enjoyable that happens when you can rip off paneling off a wall or tear off wallpaper or take a hammer and beat the crap out of a wall to knock it down. Or, you take it lightly and you have a hammer in one hand and a putty knife in the other, and you tap, 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 tap to remove those nails and glue or staples that have been holding things down. Because think about that as in all the negative things that we've said to ourselves or that other people have said to us is that glue that's holding on those unwanted armor, those unwanted things that need to be updated. And that's really what I've decided just now as I'm talking with you. This is what I've decided. Season 11 is about being updated. There we are. I've said it. It's out. Being updated. So how is it that you can update your life? What does that look like? Maybe it's not a home remodel, but maybe it's a healing moment. Maybe it's a growth moment. Maybe it's a learning moment. And so many things I learned by tearing out flooring and remodeling a house, remolded me and really clarified for me my values and what I am building, the foundation of what I am building my life on. And I want to share with you two things that I have been working on in the back of my mind while I am doing all of this taking the hammer and the putty knife, all of that physical labor. My brain was resting from the mental labor and the emotional labor of having a business. And it was creating something that aligns with my values of having fun, of connectedness, of a sense of belonging, love, community, family. I have 3 opportunities for you. 1, I would love, love, love for you to go over to YouTube because this video is only going to be shown on YouTube. If you like my podcast, subscribe to my podcast, fantastic. Please continue to do so. You can see the videos of all of my podcasts on YouTube. So if you go over to Sha Sparks on YouTube and hit subscribe, hit the bell, that will help me out a lot. And I would be greatly honored for you to do so. Second opportunity, and anything that I share with you, feel free to, if you know someone that comes to mind, share it with them. So something that I worked on several years ago that is such a passion for me is the FIRESTARTERS Book Project. And I want you to know that this particular book in this particular season, the title is going to be called How to Rekindle Your Kindness, What the World Needs Now. There is so much evil, I will say, in the world. Nastiness, anger, hate, unforgiveness, sarcasm in the world right now. And the only way to move through that is to show kindness. And we have to start with ourselves so that it comes from a place of overflow onto others. So this next book, I am looking for co-authors. So if you are interested in amplifying your business, amplifying your voice, and sharing your legacy with the world in this collaborative book project, then feel free to reach out to me on any of my social medias, but we have a dedicated website for it. But let me just first tell you a little bit about FIRESTARTERS Book Project. It is a collection of creative thought leaders who are collaborating, planning, directing, organizing, and creating new ideas to navigate change. Remember how I said changing your view changes your view? Yeah, I want to talk to people like that, other people who are changing their views. We understand that a single match, if left alone, will fizzle out. Therefore, when one match ignites another, we build a stronger fire. We start with a tiny spark that ignites hope, creativity, curiosity, fearlessness, connection, kindness, collaboration, mindfulness, community, acceptance, purpose, contribution, and love into the world. And that single spark creates a ripple effect. It gains momentum just like ripping off that baseboard off the floor, and it spreads like wildfire. And we create a collective, positive, proactive shift in the world because we are the change that we want to see. And together, we are fire starters. So if this speaks to you in any way, or this speaks to you, go, oh my gosh, I know someone this would be a perfect fit for, please share this with them because I would love to get connected with them. I would love to get connected with you. We are looking for the new authors, for the co-authors of how to rekindle your kindness, what the world needs now. My third opportunity, which I am super excited about, it is something also near and dear to my heart. And I've been working on it in the background of my mind as I'm remodeling and remolding me, because I've been told I've been the unofficially named mayor of podcasting. And yet I also have this deep desire and love for small business owners because I've been one. So together, I wanted to bring some sort of group together, growth-minded people being able to help lift each other up. We're collaborating together. Together, we are making the Maker's Machine. It's an inner circle for growth-minded small business owners and podcasters. It's a dynamic weekly networking experience specifically for growth-minded small business owners and podcasters. This isn't like your normal networking group. It is a personal powerhouse, a unique blend of a board of advisors, accountability partners, and a strategic sounding board that's all rolled into one so that you can collaborate together and yet take away an actionable step from each session. Each week, together, we dive into meaningful conversations, share insights, and provide actionable feedback tailored to everyone's entrepreneurial and podcast journey. Whether you're scaling your small business or you're amplifying your voice for your podcast or amplifying your voice for your small business, you'll gain direct access to an engaged network that pushes you forward, holds you accountable, and sparks new ideas to help you thrive in your life and business. In this inner circle, we don't just talk goals, we make them happen. That's why it's a maker's machine, because we make things happen. Together, we want to build lasting connections, learn from other like-minded creators, and get the momentum that you'll need to reach new heights as we grow together. So feel free to message me on any social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, or you can go to my website at shasparks.com, or you can go to the podcast website, theshasparksshow.com, and leave me an email or a voicemail. And I would love to hear from you. Or if you know someone that this sounds like they could benefit from, because really it's about helping other people grow. It's a hand up, not a handout. Oh, and by the way, this is limited. Just like the book, it's a limited amount of people. This maker's machine, the inner circle, is a limited amount of people. Sure, do I want to reach the masses? Of course. And yet I know it starts with that single spark. And then that goes on to the ripple effect, goes on to the next. So I'm just looking for other creative thought leaders who want to grow, who want to learn, who want to take fearless action for their life and business. So if this calls to you, let me know. And hopefully you'll share this episode, this video, because this is season 11 and year 6 of the Sha Sparks Show. And I'm so thankful that you are here. And like I said, if you send me a message, I will read it on air. And I am just honored that you are here today with me. So until next time, let's get fired up.